all see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my name is Mariana Aldrich, and I work in the Graduate Affairs Office in the Division of Science here at Brandeis. In the sciences, we offer 11 graduate programs, 4 of which are in the life sciences and that I'm going to talk about today. So those are biochemistry and biophysics, biotechnology, molecular and cell biology, and neuroscience. So first I'm going to talk about our PhD programs. We offer 3 PhD programs in the life sciences, biochemistry and biophysics, which I may refer to as BCBP, molecular cell biology, which I usually will call MCB, and neuroscience. These are 3 highly collaborative programs that kind of have the feel of an umbrella program in a lot of ways. Applicants will apply specifically to one program, but once you're in the programs, there is quite a bit of flexibility in terms of the lab that you can join, the type of courses that you'll take. Brandeis is on the smaller side, which you might know. Each of our graduate programs have incoming class sizes of about 5 to 10 students, with a total population in a program of about 40 to 50 students. But that small size really gives it an intimate feel, which is, I think, really great for graduate studies. We also have excellent research despite our small size. So I think it is a great place for grad school. One thing that sets the life sciences apart at Brandeis from a lot of other programs are our lab rotations. So we require 4 lab rotations, which is more than most programs. 2 or 3 are a lot more common. So all of our students will complete those rotations in year 1. They can choose from over 50 distinguished faculty across 7 departments. Pretty much any faculty member that has any research associated with the life sciences in any way is an option. So unlike a lot of programs, students can rotate in labs that are outside of their specialization. So a biochem student could do a rotation in a lab that's a lot more neuro-focused here at Brandeis. And we really encourage students to enter with an open mind and use their lab rotations as a time to learn something new, learn a new technique, try out a different field, or just to kind of extend their network. Students find that the connections they make during their lab rotations will really last throughout their time at Brandeis. So later on down the road, when they want to try something out in their lab, they'll know who to go to. If they know what reagent they're looking for, they might know which lab has that, or they might know that a lab they rotated with knows how to do a specific technique, so they can kind of pull on those people that they worked with in their first year. This is also how a lot of students will kind of feel out who might end up being on their committee. And because of our small size, the students and the faculty really have great relationships. So most of our faculty have their offices right in their labs, and they're really open to speak with their students really whenever is needed. They're very present in their labs for the most part. It's also pretty common, given that collaborative nature that I mentioned, for one lab to have students from multiple different programs. So you may be a biochem student working right alongside a physics student. And many of our students actually end up having two PIs. So they have a co-PI situation where they're doing a project that kind of crosses between the work of 2 labs. So they have 2 mentors officially as their grad advisor. I wanted to talk a little bit about funding for our PhD programs. So all of our life science PhD students are fully funded for at least 5 years, and typically longer if they're in good standing. So it's extremely common for our PhD students in the life sciences to be paid right through their defense, right through when they submit, even if it takes them longer than 5 years. That said, most of our students do graduate in 5 to 6 years, and they leave the program ready to go on to their next steps. So that funding includes an annual stipend, which is currently $35,000 a year, full tuition waiver, and health insurance coverage. And I have to say, our student health insurance is really great. So that's one thing our students don't have to worry about while they're here. And we're able to provide this funding through a combination of university fellowships, training grants, which are highly competitive grants that faculty can apply for to train grad students. We have several of those in the sciences, and faculty's own grants. We also have a lot of students who apply for and receive their own fellowships, either through the NIH, NSF, HHMI, or other funding agencies. And students that wish to apply for these fellowships, it's never required that they get a fellowship. They'll be funded anyway, but students that wish to apply do receive considerable assistance in that, both by mentorship with their advisor, and we have an office on campus that assists with the administrative aspects of applying for fellowships. Consistent with that umbrella program field that I mentioned earlier, there are quite a lot of similarities between these three PhD programs. So for one, they all require 6 to 7 courses. Of those classes, generally between 1 and 3 are required, and then the rest are taken as electives. And students will determine which electives they take in consultation with the grad program head or their advisor. And they typically choose courses that make the most sense for their goals and their specific rotation and dissertation projects. Students serve as a teaching assistant for 2 courses, so that's for 2 semesters. This isn't, a lot of programs require quite a bit more teaching, and often students' funding is dependent on teaching, but that is not the case here at Brandeis. We have our students teach 2 semesters as part of it as training, so it's the teaching experience that we're looking for, and not to teach for work, for pay. But that said, there are opportunities for students that wish to teach more than twice, either as an hourly TA. Many of our departments will hire students on top of their stipend to do a little bit of extra teaching, or students have the opportunity to apply for the University Prize Instructorship, which is a competitive program run by our graduate school that our students can apply for to teach their own course. And our students are quite successful. I would say most years we have at least 1 course being taught by one of our life sciences students, and frequently two courses. They receive excellent training and mentorship. So I mentioned our small size and how available our faculty are. They're very present in the lives of their graduate students and ensuring that they're successful. And students will gain skills through many different methods while they're a graduate student at Brandeis. So really cutting edge research methods in data analysis and written and oral scientific communication. And finally, our students in all of our programs will attend seminars, colloquia, and our annual retreat. So the particular way that this looks varies a bit between the programs, but all 3 programs bring in outside speakers. So distinguished faculty at other institutions come and give talks, and Brandeis graduate students always have the opportunity to meet with them over lunch and talk about their research. There are opportunities for students to present their own research. So in the case of MCB and Neuro, they have weekly talks that they're given to the entire life sciences community, where 1 MCB student and 1 neuroscience student presents their work. And in the case of biochemistry, they have Tuesday talks, which are just students and postdocs. So those are really great opportunities to present their research to a broader audience. And then there are annual department retreats. So everybody in the department gathers for 1 to 2 days, either on campus or off, to really immerse themselves in the research, their research, others' research at Brandeis, and usually there's some sort of keynote speaker. And those are always seen as really fun bonding opportunities for the students in the programs. That said, there are some differences between the programs. And obviously the main difference is the focus of the work and the instruction. So in the case of our biochemistry and biophysics programs, this focuses on the principles and practice of macromolecular chemistry, mechanism, and structure. And there's a big emphasis on both the chemical and quantitative approaches to the work. So students tend to have backgrounds that are either more chemically based training, so chemistry, biochemistry, biology, or in more quantitative based training, so physics, engineering, and math. We have incoming students that have really a variety of backgrounds, as you can see, and the labs that they join really, they're going to focus on that intersection of chemical processes and quantitative methods. Our MCV program trains students in how to investigate biological functions at the molecular, cellular, and organismal level. So students can join labs that are really working at the frontiers of those areas. And our neuroscience program, it has three main focuses. We have a lot of labs that work on molecular neuroscience, so think cellular level of neuroscience, looking at neurons. We have a lot of labs that work in computational or systems neuroscience. And then we have many labs that work in cognitive neuroscience. So those are the labs that tend to overlap a little bit more with our psychology department. The neuroscience program is an interdisciplinary program, and it's common for students to come in from many different backgrounds. So a student doesn't have to be a neuro major as an undergrad to apply to our program. We see students that come from that are bio majors or psych majors and even math majors, and all students take intro to neuroscience together in their first year. So it's okay if your background isn't very specifically neuroscience. All right, so on top of those three PhD programs, we have what is called the QB specialization that students can participate in while they're at Brandeis. This is an interdisciplinary program for students that work at the interface of the physical and biomedical sciences. It brings together students from graduate programs, BCBP, chemistry, computer science, MCB, neuroscience, and physics. So students in any of those programs have the opportunity to apply for and participate in this program. And if they complete the QB requirements, they will graduate with a specialization in QB, and that will show up on their transcript. So what does it mean to be a QB student? There is a course requirement. So there are a selection of QB courses that students can elect to participate in. And most students can take these courses as the electives in their home department. It is very uncommon for QB students to have to take extra courses. And if they do, usually it's just one class. And then there are a variety of different events that QB students can participate in. So we have Tuesday student-only talks and an annual retreat that are done in collaboration with the BCBP graduate program. We have monthly lunches, which are really interesting. So the monthly lunches are presentations by faculty at Brandeis, but they're given in more of a chalk talk style talk. So they'll present some project that they're working on in their lab that's not at all near completion. They'll talk about something that they're working on and they're really looking for feedback on. So it's a different way of interacting with faculty than a lot of students get to do. And I know that students really enjoy them. And then we also have an annual boot camp in January typically, which is a one-day event where there are presentations by students, workshops. We usually have a keynote speaker and lots of opportunities to network with other QB students, which pull from students in all these different graduate programs. So they really get to interact with grad students that they might not necessarily see in their day-to-day. All right, so if you're interested in our life science PhD programs, the application deadline is December 1st. And what's required is pretty standard. So 3 letters of recommendation, CV, transcript, and a statement of purpose. We do not require the GRE, though you're welcome to include it if you want. What the admissions committees are generally looking for is a well-rounded student who has done some research experience, who's interested in really diving into a PhD program. We can offer a fee waiver code for anybody that's here today that will waive the $75 application fee, and it never expires. So that's WCSCI 21. And I'll put that up at the end as well. All right, so those are our PhD programs, and I want to tell you all a little bit about our master's programs as well. So each of those PhD programs has an associated master's program, the focus of which is comparable. So our BCBP program is a 2-year graduate program that focuses on the principles and practice of macromolecular chemistry, mechanism, and structure. It's designed to accommodate students who are coming in with academic majors in a wide range of fields. It is a 2-year graduate program with a mandatory thesis. So students do lab rotations in their first semester, then they join a lab, and they spend the next 3 semesters really diving into the research. And in that 4th semester, they write and present their thesis work. Our MCB and Neuroscience master's programs are 1-year programs, though there is the option to add on an additional 1 to 2 semesters. And these are very flexible programs that are really designed to guide each student towards their own specific goals, whether they're interested in going into research, so either moving on to a PhD program or working as a technician or a scientist in a lab, or if they're looking to go on to some other path in the sciences. There is a lot of flexibility in their coursework. There is a required research component, which can be fulfilled either through a project lab course, which is a semi-independent research class, or by working directly under a Brandeis faculty member and working in their lab. There is an optional thesis for these programs. And if you choose to do the thesis, it typically will take a total of 3 to 4 semesters to complete that. So thesis students will satisfy that required research component by working with a Brandeis Life Science faculty member, and then they'll stay in that lab for several semesters and continue working on their research. For all of these programs, the admissions requirements are the same. So they all have rolling admissions, which means it's best to get your application in early because we'll review and admit students as they come in. For fall admissions, they're reviewed through May 1st. MCB is the only program that considers applications for the spring. And for that program, that deadline is either October 15th or November 15th, depending on if you're a domestic or an international student, just to give some time to process the visa. These programs require 2 letters of recommendation, though 3 are recommended. The CV, transcripts, and statement of purpose are required, and GRE scores are again optional. For these programs, there is some need-based and loan funding available, which is coordinated by Monique Howell in the graduate school. And finally, we have a master's program in biotechnology. So this is a professional master's program, and it trains students to enter careers in biotech. This is a 2-year master's program. Students go on to jobs in biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, or medical research. And it combines coursework in business and biology. So there is a hands-on research course. And then there are also courses aimed at understanding the industry and the business of biotech. It includes a summer research internship, which our office helps kind of guide students through the application process for those. And they develop many professional skills. And they receive individual advising and mentoring. The program director of this program is very present and hands-on with the students. In terms of financial aid, there are partial merit scholarships available. And we do have a few DICE scholarships. So these are diversity, equity, and inclusion scholarships that are available each year, which provide a small stipend, tuition coverage, and health insurance. In terms of admission, their admissions committee is going to be looking for 2 semesters of biology and chemistry with labs at minimum. They also have rolling admissions through May 1st. And the admission requirements are CV, statement of purpose, 2 letters of rec, transcripts, and the GRE or the GMAT. Considering everything that's been going on with COVID, we recognize that it is difficult to take standardized tests at the moment. If you're applying in this admission cycle and you have found that you've been unable to take the GRE, please just reach out to us and we'll work with you on that. And then finally, our biotech program also has a dual degree option, which is joint with our Heller School. So this is a 2-year program. It's a 6-semester program though. So you take courses in two fall semesters, 2 spring semesters, and 2 summer semesters. It is a very intensive course load that's taken. So it does not include a summer internship. But students complete the master's science requirements through GSAS and in the Division of Science. And then they complete the MBA component through our Heller School for Social Policy and Management. Again, there are partial merit scholarships available and those DICE scholarships as well. The admission requirements are similar to our MS Biotech program, but know that the application will be reviewed by both the MS and the MBA admissions committees. This is a great program though, if you're looking to get an MBA or you're looking into going into the biotechnology business. To get both an MS and an MBA in 6 semesters is, I think, quite rare. All right, so those are our life science graduate programs. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask now, but you can also reach out to us at a later date. You can reach our administrative office at scigradoffice@brandeis.edu. And there are several of us that are that monitor that email and are there to help. I'd also encourage you to check out our website, sciences.brandeis.edu, where you can see a lot of more information about all of these programs, and our handbooks are available if you really want to dive into the program requirements, and you can read about all of the different research that our faculty are doing there.
Great, thank you, Marianne.